Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of eXhuming the X-Files here on the Outpost Unknown YouTube channel. I'm Matthew, joined once again by Jeremy,
Hey everybody, how you doing?
and we have made it through another season of the show. As tonight, we're going to be talking about the season 3 finale, Talitha Cumi. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. X-Files, like I said, has a reputation for banger season finales that made us suffer with anticipation over long summers. We're going to find out if this one keeps that tradition going, or if we end on a downer. We're going to find out. Do you remember this finale?
Of course I do. This
Okay.
the episodes that lead into what the movie ultimately was. I remember almost all of them, just because the fucking shapeshifter guy, dollar
Oh
store
yeah.
doll, children, some of
Yeah.
my favorite shit.
All right. Well, let's get into it. What happens in the prologue here?
Some bald guy in Burger King is bitching about losing his job, and decides to pull a gun and starts yelling about how nobody can move, nobody move. But he tells the children that they can leave. So as the children are getting separated from their parents and running out the door, dollar store Lance Henriksen in a tweed jacket stands up and walks over to him and starts talking him down. And it starts working. It's like, son, you don't want to hurt anybody. He's very calm, very soothing. It's a very well acted piece of stuff. But while he's doing his thing, there's always that one guy. There's
Mhm.
always that fucking idiot in the crowd, like, well, I'm gonna get out of here. And he or opens the door of the Burger King, fucking flips or causes the gunman to flip out, shoots him. SWAT team outside that showed up within 30 seconds of the phone call. Shoots the dude that has the gun inside, and then Tweed Jesus heals the gunshot wound.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to die
No one's
today.
gonna die today.
Nope. And then like kind of waves his hand over the gunshot, and like the blood disappears, the bullet hole disappears, and then we get a title screen.
Okay. I'm gonna have a hot take here. I did not like this opening title thing. Now, to be fair, I did not remember that this episode, where this episode went as I was watching it. I was like, oh, okay, now this is all making sense. When I watched this, I was like, this just does not get me. Like, I don't care about some dude that's like a healer. I was like, is this a faith healer thing? Like, I just did not remember who this Jeremiah Smith character was and how he relates to kind of like the overall, thing that we'll get into. But when I first saw this, I was like, oh man, this is going to be the finale. Where like, where are the aliens? Where's all this? So as a opening sort of intro thing, I didn't like it. What are your thoughts on this intro?
I like where or the episodes of X Files where it skates kind of into the areas of faith without beating you over the head with it.
Okay.
There are some episodes that do, and just about anything that beats me over the head and neck with Christianity, I just absolutely hate. This had the flavor of that without actually doing it. And so I was interested to see, where it went. I thought it was a good opening. Was it the greatest opening? No.
Yeah, it just
A
didn't
pretty
get
good.
me. It didn't get me hyped like for previous season finale openings, where I'm like, okay, shit, we're into it now. I can't wait. I was just kind of like, ugh, this is what we got. But let's see how it goes. Where do we go from here?
Mulder and Scully are able to get there while the crime scene is still fresh. They're still interviewing people inside and outside of the restaurant. There's still like, emergency services there treating people. And I was like, damn, that was really, really fast. But they walk up to Door Idiot, and he's like, hey, I got shot. I felt the bullet in me, but then I got healed. Good for me. Can't wait to fuck somebody else's life up by being a greedy asshole.
Yeah, what about all those
Anyway,
people that died?
but well, we never see that guy ever again. So good for us. They go to talk to the shooter, and the shooter his scene was kind of interesting. He went from that crazed guy who lost his job with the paranoia and the anger to God spared my life today. And
Yep.
he was healed with the palm of his hand. He was healed by a holy man, and that holy man vanished while he was in custody because the cops are like, "Yeah, I was talking to him. I looked at my notes. I looked back up, and that guy was just gone,
Up and vanished like a fart in the wind.
like a fart in the wind." Then we cut to Mulder's mom. For some reason, is out at their lake cabin, going through shit. See, everything's covered in plastic. She clearly hasn't been out there in a very, very long time. And then just finds the cigarette smoking man standing outside, staring at the lake, waxing poetic about the fucking ocean. And she's like, I don't really want to listen to any of this shit, so I'm going. He's like, we used to have so much to say to each other,
Oh
and
no.
then intimates that they either were used to be lovers or they were such close friends that they used to ski out on that lake.
Oh, they were
And the
totally banging. They were
and the
banging.
mom, really?
Yeah.
Maybe they were swinging.
You didn't get that from like just how the cigarette smoking man was talking to her and her reaction. Totally
Um.
banging.
Oh, okay. I mean, if she's all right. Well, she said that she repressed it all, so she didn't
Yeah.
remember anything about it. But in that era of time, they could have been swingers.
Quite possible.
Like Mulder's dad is actually the cigarette smoking man, but it wasn't like a scientific project. It was just he came in the wrong spot one time during a drunken, like, debauched night. Nice. So
Other hole. You're supposed to go in the other hole.
you weren't supposed to do that inside me, cigarette smoking man.
You think he was
Um.
smoking a cigarette while he was banging her?
Oh yeah, yeah. That. Well, yeah. It's probably like who knows? He could have been putting his cigarettes out on her. I don't know.
Oh wow.
My mom might have liked that shit. I don't know. Did you
Wow.
see his dad though? That dude
That went
looked rough.
that went kinky. That went to a dark kinky spot I wasn't expecting.
With me, Matt, you
Yeah.
didn't expect to end up there. Come on. So, uh, they start arguing, and the whole time that they're arguing about whatever, it zooms out, and there's somebody taking photographs of Mulder's mom. And this is the part where I all of a sudden remember the episode. Because
Okay.
I was like, I remember being a kid. I'm like, holy shit, who's fucking spying on the cigarette smoking man? Because he's always been drummed up as like the most powerful guy in the nation,
Yeah.
basically. And so, who's keeping eyes on him, and what is he going to do with that information? But then suddenly Mulder gets a call from Skinner, tells him that his mom is in the hospital. He goes to the hospital, and we see some of the only sad acting throughout this episode that get to see Mulder do, because he's really genuinely sad looking when it comes to his mom. Like he was crying
Yeah.
when they started talking about how she had a stroke and
Mhm.
that she may never come back. Like actual full on bawling crying. It was
I
good
made a
stuff.
note. Yeah, I made a note here that David Duchovny's acting not stone faced in this
Yeah.
scene. Good job, David.
Um Fox starts talking to her and somehow brings her around. Mom, but she can't speak. She obviously has a tube stuck in her throat. So he wants she wants a pen. They grab a piece of pen and a paper, and she writes the word palm all in capital letters. And Mulder remembers that the holy man, that he healed them with his palm. Like they kept using that palm word during that scene.
Yeah.
So he's got to. It's Mulder. He's got to jump to conclusions. So he's like, "What if this had something to do with that shooting, completely unrelated shooting that happened earlier?"
Oh, Scully's like, what?
Yeah.
What? I'm going back to DC. You're gonna leave your mom here in the hospital? Going back to DC, looking for this man.
So we cut to cigarette smoking man's goons find Palm or Tweet Jesus at what looks like a really gross accounting office. and then locks him up like Hannibal Lecter. Like the immediately
Yeah.
following scene, they got him on a cart, they have him tied down, and they're locking him in like the deepest cell in a fucking jail underground that they possibly can. Mulder goes out to his summer house, that same house, because he found out that somebody called 911 from that location, and he starts going through the house to figure out what Palm is, what the cigarette smoking man wanted, what she was down there for, because didn't it was some throwaway line about like since his sister was abducted, she's never been to that summer house since.
Yes. Yeah, and he was shocked that she was there in the first place.
And so he just starts tearing apart the house trying to figure out what she wanted. Leaves no stone unturned. But while he's sitting there staring at the word, or after an exhausted day of going through every drawer, every cabinet, looking up under every piece of furniture, he starts staring at the word palm and realizes, or he realizes it's an anagram for the word lamp. He picks up the first lamp, smashes it against the wall. Nothing in the lamp. Like he's been. If you watch this scene, there's got to be dozens of lamps
Yeah.
all
Oh yeah,
around that
there's
house.
lots. Yeah.
And swinger pad is kind of from the 70s. Lamps were just kind of the thing instead of normal ceiling lights. So he smashes two lamps, but in the second lamp, he finds the black oil alien neck sticker. It's a
Yeah.
tool that looks like an extendable ice pick that they use specifically for killing the aliens that can shapeshift and the clones that we've seen in previous seasons. Um,
He runs into X also
at the
because
at the house.
yeah, because remember X is there, and because is X at the house at some point before he destroys and finds the alien bounty hunter weapon? He talks to X because X is the one that tells Mulder like cigarette smoking mom was with his mom, and Mulder's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I was here taking photos. I was the one snapping the pics." And we find out that X was the one doing that. And X wants to know what Mulder's mom would have kept at this summer house, and Mulder's like, "I don't fucking know. Like, I have no idea. I think that's when he says she hasn't been here in years."
Okay, yeah. So it would have started that way.
Yeah,
When he first arrives at the cabin, X pops out, says
yeah.
all of that shit,
So
and
X has
then
been
that's what.
hanging out at Mulder's property for like a day because he was there the previous day taking photos, and he's just hanging out
I mean,
until
it's kind
Mulder
of a
shows up.
cool place. He was probably on the jet ski a little bit. He was just killing time, but it was a great place to kill time. So yeah, and then he goes to the house. He finds the sticker. It cuts back to cigarette smoking man goes to interrogate Tweed Jesus, and you find out he's one of the alien clone shapeshifters.
Yeah,
Starts asking, like, it's one of those scenes that I love and I hate at the same time because they say all of these things in metaphor and use poetic words about the truth and about where humanity is going and trying to string the audience along into the mystery of what is really happening between these clone shape-shifting aliens and the human beings that are in charge of everything, but they never really say anything. They just
yeah,
edge around, they edge around the truth without committing to saying anything of value. So you don't you're when I was a kid, those scenes were awesome. As an adult, I'm like, fucking just stop just dangling the bait in front of me. Let me chew on it a little bit.
they had to keep you coming back week after week after week. They do mention in this conversation, because I made a note of here that they mention that there's a date set that humanity is basically going to die. And
Yeah.
I remember as a kid when they mentioned that, I was like, "Oh shit." It felt like, okay, we have leveled up here now. Like we know what the end game is here. Humanity is going to die. The stakes have been raised. So, what is the end goal here? Like, who's going to live? Who's going to die? What is the cigarette smoking man? And why is he sort of involved in sort of going along with this? But when they mention that humanity is going to die and that a date has been set, that's like your ticking timer in any of these shows. Like, okay, that's what got me as a kid.
See, I didn't or I caught that there was some looming date for some big shift to happen in the world, but I didn't get that humanity was going to die from it. At least not yet.
Okay, that's what I
Uh,
got from it.
but they were talking. The whole conversation was super interesting.
Yeah,
He's raking or railing on the cigarette smoking man for like using religion to keep people in line, and they have this like, we give them happiness, they give us authority line.
yeah,
Like they're just talking about how human beings, we can't allow human beings to believe in mystery and mysticism. We need them to believe in science instead if the project is to go forward. And that's what they keep saying the word project,
yeah.
and they say that the date is set, but I don't get what that is until the movie shows up.
See, I have written on here when they're discussing the project. My note was cigarette smoking man is freaked out and is worried the alien will expose everyone. And there's a whole thing where the alien's like, "You can't kill me, asshole. You have like no way to kill me." But I thought it was interesting that the cigarette smoking man is genuinely worried that this guy, because when the I guess the alien heals all the people in the cold open, that's the reason why cigarette smoking man's freaked out, because he does not, like you said, he does not want people believing that this stuff is actually like real and whatnot. And sort of to me, when he's like, it's going to expose everyone, I guess I always felt like the end goal was humanity was going to be destroyed somehow. Because I guess in my kid brain, I was like, well, who cares then, if there isn't like a big major thing that's going to affect everyone, then like ultimately, what does it all matter? Like, you have to have those super super high stakes, because if you don't, it's like, okay, so there's aliens exist, and what is the project? They're gonna like fly off and go colonize another planet or something, and leave the rest of us here to just hang out. And I guess I just always expected that whatever this date was we're all gonna get wiped out somehow.
The end of all things.
Yeah.
Um. But anyway, yeah, those are the best scenes, and to me, the worst scenes at the same time of this entire episode, because they do it a couple of times, and those two acting with each other is very good. And
Yeah.
then the guy in the seat, the alien shapeshifter, turns into Deep Throat at one point, turns into Mulder's dad, and their conversation is just so good. I
Yeah.
don't want to quote everything that they said because it's just the juiciest parts of the episode lore wise, but it makes the whole episode worth watching, and it's still somewhat upsetting. But ultimately, the cigarette smoking man says your punishment for what you've done will be handed out by those that possess the tool of your destruction. And it seems like a really weird way to say the guys that are running around with that extendable ice pick, because that's all it really means.
Yeah.
Um, Mulder is hanging out in or talking to his mom at the hospital. Wait, no, he goes to Skinner and says, he's pissed off. You need to. He's drilling Skinner for access to the cigarette smoking man, but
Yeah.
Skinner's like, hey, my access to that guy has come and gone. I've burned that
Yeah.
bridge. I can't do
Yeah, he's like, as soon as I started helping you assholes, I lost all access to him. We should point out that the alien tells cigarette smoking man he's dying of lung cancer,
it. Yeah,
and the cigarette smoking man's like, "You lie" or whatever like that. But that will become a major plot point seasons down the line.
it was the only time that it looked to me that he was genuinely scared of
Yeah,
what he was saying.
yeah,
Because yeah, that wigged him the fuck out. So, oh, what is it? It goes to that scene where Scully says that the alien turned himself in. The alien shapeshifter guy had heard, I've heard myself about this news that all of this stuff happened at a restaurant. Like, I just wanted to turn myself in. So they go to track him down. He's being questioned by the cops, and the guy's like, "I have." Oh wait, no. They let him go because he says, "I don't remember what happened. I
Yeah.
don't remember what during that time." And he just goes back to his job over at the accounting firm, and that's when Mulder and Scully show up to take him in for further questioning. So they grab him. They're holding on to him as they're leaving this place of business that have all of these suits around. And the dude just takes a header into like four different guys, makes them all fall over, and then shapeshifts into one of them, and then just stands up, dusts himself off, and walks away right in front of Mulder and Scully. They're like, "Where the fuck did this guy go?"
Yeah.
I thought it was slick. I mean, as far as getting away, you just
Yeah.
need to write it without a plot hole. I thought that worked really well, though it was kind of funny.
I have a
Um,
note here. I have a note here real quick. And I don't know if this was from the previous scene or what that we were discussing. But after I said alien shapeshifts into Mulder's dad, I have the thing that says the alien is arguing that humans are actually good and doesn't want to kill humans. So I think he was actually having a conversation about killing humans during that.
Let me see.
At least that's what my note says.
Well, I kept getting the control bit of it.
Okay.
Like the alien was really blasting on. Like he says, "You think you're God? You're a drone. You're chattel." And the whole conversation was about how he's using God to control people. That you're just wanting a seat at the table for whatever happens at the project. And he says something akin to that. And then he tells him, yeah, at the end of that thing, he died of lung cancer. But I still didn't get the killed part of it.
Okay.
I don't know. But
Hey man, hey man, pay closer attention is all I could say.
I
Shit.
was watching that, man. All right. So Dollar Store Dolph Lundgren shows up at the prison with the appropriate credentials to get in and go downstairs to kill this alien. Like he pulls out his little ice pick. He goes. They take him down to the cell, even though he was wearing Tweed Jesus's outfit and skin just a minute ago. I have no idea why they let him down there, but they did, and find that the jail cell is empty. You find out right afterwards that Mulder's mom, the prognosis is that she's probably not coming back from this stroke. Mulder gets to cry about it, gets so upset he steps out and sees cigarette smoking man in the hall, and then immediately runs up to him and says, "You want to smoke
Yeah.
with this pistol?"
You want to smoke on this? I loved it. That was a great scene between the two of them right there.
And then, of course, the cigarette smoking man, in order to get himself out of trouble, dangles Fox's sister in front of him.
Yeah.
And he's clearly bullshitting. But Fox will Fox is swayed so easily just by, okay,
Yeah.
someday you're gonna tell me the truth.
And
Oh, then I'm gonna be
he tells
mad.
Mulder because Mulder's like I've got what you're looking for because Mulder found the alien thing or whatever and Cigarette Smoke was like you've got nothing that I need. I just want to see how your mom's doing. By the way, I mean he doesn't come out and say he's like yeah I used to bang her back in the day so I just want to make sure she's doing okay. Fox, poor
Poor
guy,
pig.
poor guy.
He goes down to the parking garage and X is there. He wants the weapon, the alien killing device from Fox. Says that because of the truth when it comes out will elevate the value of whatever you found. I thought that line was really really weird for something that's just a press a button and then a screwdriver sticks out of it. Like, okay, it's a glorified switchblade, but
Yeah,
he wants it. They get into a fist fight, and Mulder starts kind of getting his ass kicked
yeah,
by X until they have a Mexican standoff. And then they both get to go their own way. They're drawn on each other, but they both walk back to their own cars. Jeremiah Smith visits Scully out of the blue while Scully is at a hotel room. She's not getting body slammed through a glass coffee table again. So she's like, "You're gonna keep your hands up. You're gonna open the door this way and approach me in this way." And what was it? They She keeps his hands up because he's not getting body slammed through another glass coffee table. He
Yes,
says that
she.
he's not the same man that talked to her previously. Like she
Yeah,
talked to Tweed Jesus earlier in a scene, but we get back to this. I'll explain everything in a minute. I'll explain, and he says it like three more times.
yeah,
Mulder calls as they're talking, says that they have to meet him out in bumfuck. They go out to bumfuck to some like wood cutting place, and he's not saying anything yet other than I will explain everything to you. Every time, how did you heal
yeah.
those people? I will explain everything to you. And then the alien manhunter shows up, starts like he's stalking towards the dude, and he's like, he's here to kill me.
Yeah,
And then we get to be continued.
yeah. Because Mulder wants to take Jeremiah Smith back to the hospital because he wants him to heal his mom. And then right then the alien bounty hunter is showing up, and then you get to be continued 4 months from now on the Fox network, essentially. So, all right. So, two questions. What do you think of this episode, and how do you feel it sort of holds up to the previous two season finales?
This one was better than the last one, except for the end. I don't think this one hung quite well. I'm ignoring the first season because it was okay. The second season one kind of set the tone, at least for me, for the rest of them, because Mulder is down there with the alien bodies. They throw the fire in there. Is he still alive? Who knows? This he's here to kill me piece of it wasn't as shocking as that was. It wasn't as cliffhangery as this one was, or that one was. But I think that this whole episode, as far as giving me answers to things that I want, even though it's kind of weak, the conversations were better, the mythology, making it bigger and wider scope was so much better in this. So I think this is the best season finale of all of them so far.
Okay. Yeah, I really like this episode. I think the thing I like about it most is all of the. We don't have all the answers to everything, obviously, and X Files will sort of just give you drips and drabs over the next few seasons as to the actual plan of everything that's going on. But in order to keep interest in something like this, a big mythology, you have to at least every once in a while give the viewer some tantalizing nuggets of information, like, okay, this is real. So we have, okay, the cigarette smoking man had some sort of relationship with Mulder's mom and Mulder didn't know about it. That's an interesting piece of information. How was Mulder's mom involved in all of this stuff back in the day? We know his dad was involved in stuff, but now his mom as well. I love the idea, like, hey, there's a date set on whatever this project is turning out to be and what's going on. It's like, okay, we know now there's a name to it, the project. We know that cigarette smoking man's working with these aliens now, and he's trying to like kill some aliens, and things of that nature. So all of that stuff I felt was really, really sort of beneficial to going into the summer, essentially, because I'm when I sort of review a season finale, I want to review it based on, like, how was I feeling when it was over going into the summer. When I'm talking to you and I'm talking to Brady and everything about it, are we super stoked and excited, or are we just kind of like, eh? But my recollection is like we really loved this finale, and we had conversations about like what could possibly be going on, and stuff like that, and it really, so like you said earlier, it builds to a crescendo to getting into the movie, which I'm very excited when we eventually get into the movie, which I think is between seasons 5 and 6. So I think we still got 2 more seasons to go before we get to that movie. But yeah, I thought this was cool. I love the fact that all of our sort of main players sort of come back. I love the conversations between Cigarette Smoking Man and the alien Jeremiah Smith and everything. And of course, the sort of like the finale, seeing the bounty hunter again, because the bounty hunter is such a cool character, and him literally walking towards Mulder and Scully and this alien with his own like weapon. I was like, how the fuck is Mulder going to get out of this? We just saw him get his ass beat by X. He ain't beating this alien bounty hunter, even if he's got one of these things, right? That's where I'm thinking at the end of this. So it left me with a lot of like, who's going to save Mulder? How are they going to get out of this? And I thought it was a great finale. Absolutely great.
You think Damon Lindelof grew up watching this show just like we did,
Oh
and he
yeah,
was like, "Wow, look at how they're meeting out all of this information and just keeping
yeah.
their audience strung along." And then once he got into writing, he's like, "I want to do all that, but instead of giving answers, I'm just not."
I will never give an answer. Yeah, so big thumbs up on this one. Some pieces of trivia here. This episode, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this episode written by David Duchovny and Chris Carter, which kind of
Two
interesting
of the
that David.
worst writers on that show. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
impressed.
This episode, per David Duchovny's suggestions, was heavily influenced by The Grand Inquisitor, a chapter in the novel The Brothers Karamazov. This was particularly evident in the scenes in the prison between the Smoking Man and Jeremiah Smith. I've never heard of this book before. I have no idea what this book is about, but I think it's interesting that they were heavily influenced by this. I want to check out this book, or at least this chapter, to find out what they pulled from here. The reference is woven into the story in Smith healing the shooter and the shooting victims in the episode's teaser, in the title of the restaurant, The Brothers K, and the episode's title, originally from Mark 5:41, in which Jesus heals the daughter of Jairus and quotes the Aramaic phrase meaning "little girl, get up," but which is also figures into the brothers Karamazov. These references were originally suggested by David Duchovny for the episodes Colony and Endgame, but never made their way into those episodes. Therefore, they were used here. As Carter was writing Talitha, Cumi, he decided that the episode's main theme would be loyalty. It was decided that the commitment Mulder felt towards the X-Files would be tested by seeing if he would be willing to sacrifice those he cared about, most notably his mother, Scully, and the quest to find his sister, Samantha. In addition, the Smoking Man's allegiances are in that he must decide whether or not to heal himself of cancer using the power of Jeremiah Smith. Ultimately, Mulder's loyalties prove altruistic, whereas the Smoking Man chooses self-interest over the syndicate's cause. The fight between Mulder and X was heavily edited by Fox's broadcast standards department. Despite the fact that most of the action was done by stunt doubles, Stephen Williams was injured during the filming of the fight scene. The opening scene with the restaurant shooting was filmed mostly on two handheld cameras, with director R.W. Goodwin using a variety of short shots and rapid cuts to differentiate the perspectives. This was done to create a chaotic scene, which would contrast with how the character of Thins, I guess is his name, character Jeremiah Smith was presented. Shots focused on him were filmed using a Steadicam to allow the character to seem rock steady. The film was also overcranked, where the frame rate of the recording is much higher from that will be played back, slowing down the footage when it is played at a normal frame rate. This gave a slow motion effect to his movements in order to aid the quote unquote godlike impression that Goodwin wanted. I didn't even notice a slow motion effect in this that I can remember anyway. Did you notice a slow motion effect in that opening sequence?
In the resolution that I was watching, no.
Okay, I didn't even notice that. The Grand Inquisitor scene between Jeremiah Smith and the Smoking Man involves several instances of morphing from one character to another. The morph involving Smith assuming the guise of Peter Donnett's character, Bill Mulder, was simply achieved by using static cameras, allowing him to leave the set and Donnett to take his place, with the morphing effect bridging the change in actors. However, Jerry Hardin, who was involved in another morph to his character Deep Throat, was unavailable on the day this was shot, as he was filming a movie elsewhere. The sections of the morph involving him were recorded, and then the set was reconstructed later when Hardin was available, with the actors matched up based on footage and photography to recreate the same positions, which producer Paul Rabwin has described as backwards and very difficult. That seems like crazy to have to rebuild the entire set for like that 1 10-second shot of Jerry Hardin as Deep Throat. It's crazy. During a conversation with Tina Mulder, Cancer Man claims he was a better water skier than her husband, William Mulder. Actor William B. Davis is indeed a former national champion water skier. There you go.
Nice.
This is William B. Davis's favorite episode, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, so those are pretty much all of the tidbits from this episode. cool finale. It's another episode we dug. Next week, you're gonna want to hit that like and subscribe and that notification bell, because as we've done the first 2 seasons, we're gonna do our top 5 best and top 5 worst episodes of season 3. So check us out next Friday, where you're gonna hear what we liked and what we disliked and how we felt about this season overall. I can tell you, and I'll ask you, Jeremy, was it difficult for you to come up with your lists this season?
A top 5, no. The bottom 5, very much so, because there wasn't a lot I didn't like about the episodes of the season.
Okay, so there's your tease, folks. So we'll see you next Friday on eXhuming the X-Files.